Assalamu alaikum. I will be attending this session in English language. بس بداية ننقل تحيات واعتذارات الدكتور المهندس محمد أحمد بن عمير المهيري مدير مشاريع البنية التحتية في إدارة البلدية والتخطيط في عجمان لعدم تمكنه من الحضور لأسباب قاهرة، ويسرنا أن نستضيف اليوم اثنين من السادة المتخصصين في دائرة النقل في عجمان. ونبدأ بالتعريف والمنة من اليسار الحسن، وهو مسؤول في قسم الاي تي او الانفورميشن تكنولوجي، ومعنا الاخ فراج المهندس من دائرة المشاريع وهو مدير مشاريع دائرة النقل في عجمان، وأرجون قبتا من شركة ZF. Now we'll convert into English after your permission, just to allow everybody probably to share without the necessity of translation. I should assume also Arabic translation is available in the background. We would start with, by the way, just in case we missed the subject of the session, it's about sustainability, yet it's into the latest technologies and how we could address specifically the matter of the autonomous driving, which is a controversial subject, taking a lot of interest from the people nowadays. We should see how the industry and the regulators and the application individuals are looking at it. So probably we start with Engineer Al-Hassan and see what is his view on the AV or autonomous vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Wadi. Good afternoon, everyone. Personally, I'm very optimistic about the future of the AVs and the adoption of this technology in our streets because I believe those new kind of applications and usage of technology will optimize the traffic flow in our streets, and this is what we all working toward achieving this. In addition to this, we are looking to reduce the number of deaths and the very critical accidents on our streets because annually we are recording very high number of deaths because of human mistake while driving. So using AVs with a certain regulations and ethics, definitely, we can reduce this number, and this is the ultimate goal of adoption of autonomous vehicles.
Raj, out of your experience in those autonomous vehicles long time ago, could you share with the audience what is your findings, please?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for the opportunity here to speak at this panel. I would say I've been privileged to be a part of the team who had trials of autonomous vehicles and autonomous bus, to be exact, back in 2018 with the Ajman municipality and the Ajman Transport Authority back at that day. And we have actually had a successful run with the full public transport lane back at that time. But of course, the amount of knowledge that we got, that was enormous. Also, we have come across challenges adapting for this technology. Like still, to have a mutual human-driven cars and let's call it computer-driven cars is still a big challenge. And usually I always say that the biggest challenge is who's responsible in the case of death. And this is the biggest challenge, I would say, that we were tackling because the technology is moving so fast, but regulations aren't. And many times we discussed, how reliable the system is, how accurate the computational power or different vehicles or a grid could be, but still, the question remains, who is responsible in any such incident? So there was a lot, and I think UAE government in general doing a great effort in adopting and testing and opening the cities and markets, and one of them was yesterday's announcement, Ajman Transit Lab, to test and try different technologies in Ajman itself, because unless we test, unless we try them, we will not know what we should expect or what should we adapt or need to adapt to. But change is happening, and we are already taking this wave in change.
We wish you all the best as well. Mr. Gupta, everybody has worked with ZF from the industry. You're a very famous German company in doing, I would say, transmission and power transmission systems, what we call it gears in our language, as well as axles. But also ZF now, they have a consultancy arm that goes into smart and sustainable solutions for the public transport. Could you shed some light on what ZF is doing for the AV, please?
Yes. Thank you so much. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Ajman Transport Authority for organizing this technology summit. And it's a great matter of privilege to be representing my company in this esteemed panel. So ZF is a global technology company where we provide mobility solutions and systems in passenger cars, commercial vehicles, and industrial mobility. Over the years, we have democratized our business into different business units where we have the traditional business, that is the transmission and axles, and now we are also moving towards the digital solutions, which include the ZF mobility arm, which you rightly mentioned. ZF is looking out to be the technology partner with different startup companies, many vehicle manufacturers, and even authorities to be a bridge between the technology provider and the equipment provider. What we have seen that the automotive technology, in case of autonomous driving, it has two parts, where you have the software stack, software solution, and then you have the hardware stack, where you have cameras, you have sensors, because the principle of the vehicle is that it needs to sense, think, and act. So the sense comes from the hardware, where you have the LiDAR technology, radars. Think is where the software, where you need a high power supercomputer, which ZF also manufactures by the name of ZF Pro AI, and then how the vehicle should behave in a particular situation. So if there is an obstacle approaching, or if there is someone crossing the road, the computer should be able to tell the propulsion system to stop, to brake, or to steer. So we understand these complexities, and we have had some opportunities globally in where we in Netherlands we are doing a project in by the name of Rivium, where there's a shuttle on a dedicated track, and it's making about 3,000 trips per day, which is in a closed track. It's transporting passengers from a metro station to the business park. Also, in Germany, we are testing out a project with RA Bus, where the pilot is for a vehicle which will work under the mixed traffic system. So the concept is that you have something on the highway which is more predictable because the vehicles are moving in a lane. But as the members of the panel also mentioned, that one of the issues they face is when in city driving, how much you can trust a computer. So in that case, the extensive testing is going out. However, the core lies that to reach an L4 level automation, it's taking time, and as well as the trust from the people to actually standardize these vehicles as part of our normal vehicle ecosystem. The different levels of automation, level 0, level 1, level 2, which is already here in the market, it's there, and this will keep on growing. But the question is that for level 4, so in this area, ZF is teaming up with different startup companies and automobile manufacturers to support them and give them the right engineering support, consultancy support, which will help them in vehicle testing, homologation, as well as working with the authorities to bring all the stakeholders together and then give an integrated solution to achieve the autonomous transportation.
Thank you. Mr. Faraj, it's a question in the mind of many people. Why we need even to think of autonomous driving? Why the technology is discussing the possibility of enhancing something called autonomous, and why you think that the others, like Tesla, for example, they insist to have their EVs with the option of autonomous driving? People are asking why we need that.
No, I'm sorry, I thought that's you were asking Al Hassan. Okay. You said a lot of whys in your questions. Okay, why you need that? Okay, I would say, I'll start with one main thing, the optimization. The level of security in an autonomous vehicle is way higher than any human run system. Any human run system. The efficiency in that is much better than any human run system. And one of the, I would say maybe nowadays everybody is kind of complaining from traffic, but the thing is, you're driving it, that's why. If you're not driving, and if it's an autonomous vehicle, and it's just taking your trip autonomously from A to B, wherever you want to go, you will not be thinking about, oh, there's a lot of traffic, because you will be busy doing productive things, or you will be maybe just resting in the vehicle while in your movement. So why I would say it's great, plus there's one of the things my colleague here, Al Hassan, he confirmed that is so far all 99% of the traffic or accidents happen because of human errors. So if you take out of the human factor in it, you reduce it. There will be still some errors, but it will be way less. It's going to be 99% of those. All those will be gone away. So why we should go that? Yes, to optimize things, to optimize our resources, to optimize our life, to enhance our life itself, I would say simply. Okay, the effect of that, it's enormous, and maybe when it's fully autonomous vehicle transit systems, there are things we don't know yet how life will become.
I agree with you. Possibly similar in the aviation. Now every aircraft has the autopilot, and nobody is asking why the pilot leaves the cockpit and go down the aisle and come back, but you feel very safe. So the machine is flying you. I think that's a good answer as well. Mr. Al Hassan, just an opinion, if you can share with me, please, the difference between the two approaches of the AVs now. One with, for example, what we call it, the integrated camera imaging, and one is using the LiDAR, which is light detection and recognition system, which is laser but with the laser light. So in your opinion, would it be the future for the LiDAR, or you think camera is good enough, as Elon Musk is saying?
So each technology has some drawbacks, as you know, whether it's the LiDAR or the camera, but maybe we get more advantages with the LiDAR, and it's my opinion, because we can sense or get more feed of data when it comes to distances, to identify maybe unrecognized objects that might not be already trained with, if you use the image processing algorithms. So we could get any object that's not recognized by the cameras. So LiDAR in this case would help us to at least identify an object on the way and to make a proper decision. Definitely going with the hybrid solutions where we utilize the different type of sensors and cameras, whether it's radar or LiDAR or whatever, definitely will improve the process of the deep learning of those vehicles and to make, let's say, the better decisions. I won't say definitely there will be some error in that, but definitely getting a hybrid solution is the best.
I tend to agree with you. I think the LiDAR will provide a little bit more accuracy and holistic view than camera only. Knowing that also the LiDAR is a technology provision and the camera is by a vehicle manufacturer.
I just have an addition
Please.
to that. I'm sorry to interrupt here. Comparing both of the systems, whether image processing, whether using the camera and training the mind, I mean, it's actually based on how much your supercomputer is learning and start to analyze, okay? And one of the real facts is Tesla is not a car company, it's a data company, okay? And they are collecting data and they are improving in their technology day by day. They're really improving it. But still, also, there is one of the main factors comes in. What is the standard that we should follow? There is no one setting a certificate or like a certain standard that we should follow, whether we rely on image processing only and a supercomputer, but then what? It should be managed by a certain company, and we should be bounded with one only company providing that, or we should rely a technology which is common and available to everyone, okay? And a certain standards there, I mean, you can use that. And I agree here with my colleague Al Hassan is saying that it should have both of them together, okay? Because one will accommodate the other, or you can say accommodate the other whenever the other solution goes less in any factor.
This will link directly to the projects and infrastructure.
Exactly.
And this will also differentiate between V2V and V2I. So to what level you think Ajman will be ready for V2I?
I would say it's possible. I would say V2V, before V2V, one thing we need to actually to develop is V2, the infrastructure, V2I, okay? And this is one of our main topics and part of our, I would say, even our Ajman smart mobility strategy, that one of the initiatives that we want to work on is a smart infrastructure. So our vehicles, different type of vehicles, not just cars, even the small mobility, will be talking to the grid. So we will know where is movement happening, where is needed. And also, of course, now everything has an AI. So if we learn the pattern and if we collect enough data, so we can predict what we need more. So this is one of the things that we'll be working on in the coming next years to improve.
Arguing on V2X or V2I, I believe it's more on the vehicle side rather than the infrastructure. For us to invest more into a smart infrastructure, if we speak about communication towers or traffic signals, etc., I believe it's something we can do. But on the other side, with the vehicles, we need to have higher adoption for such technologies, rather than very few brands or manufacturers that are applying such protocols. First of all, we need to find unified protocols to be adapted across all the merchants, and we need to ensure that it's supported by even the old models of the vehicles to make it more feasible for us as regulators or as a government entities to invest more into smart infrastructure to enable V2X or V2I.
With you, still in the kitchen, people are still thinking. Mr. Gupta, just a quick rundown on previous experience. People are interested to have an idea about lesson learned. Is there any previous work somebody has done that we need to learn from that lesson in the world of the autonomous vehicles?
Well, 4 years ago, I was part of a project team where we did the first electric bus trial in Dubai. And it took about 15 months and 55 approvals between the authorities to approve the electric bus trial and put a pantograph in a particular location. So, as the esteemed panel, infrastructure challenges are there. It becomes more complex when we are in a short route or inside a city setting. It's something like that on the highway where you have long haul, we have cases in the US where companies have successfully tested out their trucks for an L4 level autonomy, where you have a dedicated highway, and there the V2X, which is the vehicle-to-vehicle communication, is the key, because you rely more on platooning, one truck behind other. But when it comes to the city, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because for an autonomous vehicle, it has to interact not only with the vehicles around, but also, say for example, with the traffic signals, with someone crossing the road, with pedestrians, exactly. And this is where the machine learning and the development is still ongoing. The learnings, what we see is that these are high investment projects. Like few companies like Aurora, Kodiak, WeRide from China, who are very well funded, they are able to spearhead along with the big OEMs. However, the timeline, what we are seeing, is always shifting. So something which was predicted that we could do by 2018, it's pushed to 2027, and we are not even sure. I was reading a report from one of the leading banks and magazine that it is only by 2040, it's expected that the level for adoption in the world would be about 2.5%. So level 3 and level 2 will make up the most of it, where US and China, they have had the fast mover advantage, and they have had investors who are willing to invest in these technologies. They would be spearheading this. However, the speed at which we would like to move, I think the technology and the investment required, I think this is where we need to be a little bit realistic.
Thank you very much. Last comment will be with you, Mr. Faraj. The question is about regulation. We are with the regulator. We will not miss the chance. We'll ask you, what is your idea about how to regulate AV one day in the streets of Ajman?
Okay, the question that you asked is, I would say, a very tricky question, even though you have simply just laid it out. Okay, how do we regulate autonomous vehicles? I would say this is from any perspective, from a business or a government or even a consumer. We need to study the risks first about the whole technology and about all the stakeholders in this manner. Once we study that, once it's analyzed and stakeholders, every stakeholder is in place and knows what they're supposed to do, that, okay, regulation will become easier. The issue here, the biggest issue in regulating autonomous vehicles is the amount of knowledge, or that is not yet open, and the unknowns, okay, of the AV infrastructure or AV system itself. Okay, in the recent law, which has been passed actually for the UAE traffic laws, okay, they have actually mentioned exactly one exact part about autonomous vehicle operation, okay, but still not with specification how and who, and protocols, certifications, because as I told you, the technology is just changing too fast for the regulation to catch up. It's like, okay, we want to go with 1, 2, 3, which is already known, tested, and everything good with it. Okay, maybe until level 3, it's all good. Okay, but level 4, there are still doubts. Who takes the risks? Who will be responsible? Okay, and I would say this is, from my point of view, I would say, in the technology point of view, I think it's easy. It's possible. We can go tomorrow from a technology point of view. But from a regulation point of view, I don't think so. Yeah? Exactly.
So maybe just a small anecdote. This is where ZF Mobility Solutions come, where we work with the authorities, we work with the fleets, with the manufacturers to stitch together a plan where we can define regulations, what are the best practices in the world, SOTIF regulation, ISO 26262, so on and so forth. This is where, as ZF Mobility Solutions, we can help and support in making this a reality.
ZF take the liability, if Mr. Faraj will give you the responsibility.
See, I will tell you the issue here. It's not about from the people who knows about technology. They're convinced. You need to tell them to the people who are dealing with the regulation and means of, I would say, the lawyers, to be exact, okay? You want to explain them that your technology is going to take responsibility. If you say this, yes to them, and then at that time they will accept that. Before that, they will say no.
Also, insurance companies need to sort this dilemma as well. We need to decide whether it's the car manufacturer or the driver or the vehicle itself. But many people argue that the vehicles cannot be blamed liable in such incidents. Some people claim that it's the car manufacturer. So we need to do more experiments, and we need to understand maybe with the help of legal firms, to work with operators as well as car manufacturers.
See, one of the biggest part for the adoptions of AVs is the awareness to different levels of community, not just, we are technological people, we are in the business, that's why we know and that's why we defend about them. But what about the people who are not in this sector? It's there, you need to, not you, like all of us, need to aware all segments of the society.
Stakeholders.
Yes, all segments of the society to be in, or like to have their buy-in for these sort of projects. Okay, without that, they will not.
Which is not easy. Very well.
If you have, I will just say, you still have people who you cannot convince them to whether to get an iPhone or an Android. You're speaking about autonomous vehicles.
Yeah, look, by the end of the day, numbers will speak for itself. There has been some accidents so far reported on L1 and L2, so still to go for the fourth level. Record need to be there. You have a backlog of enough safety driving, then probably it will go. Gents, they have been an interesting session with you. Time is over. We have been given another 9 minutes, did we?
I think it's for the next session.
Sorry? Yeah, we will, unless anybody would like to add any closing statement before we go to the audience. Any questions? المهندس سامي.
Thank you very much. I think you touch on how realistic is moving to the autonomous vehicles. But some countries, some cities has already set up a target for a date like 2030, 2040. But I think those dates are very short. How realistic they will be reaching it? And also Mr. Farouk, he said that you have to get the buy-in. All the stockholders have to be in, but some of them, they don't want to change the status quo because some insurance company, if there is no accident, there is no repair, some of the spare parts will not be sold. Even the manufacturing of those vehicles, they don't want to push for the autonomous one. So what's your take on that? It's open for all of you.
Well, you know, how we understand the autonomous projects and then the business is that, as you rightly said, that there are very, very high expectations, and it's normally in our nature to overestimate our abilities in the short and the medium term, but then underestimate our abilities when it comes to long term. So, as we said, that it's also a culture thing that which will make it difficult for the adoption of autonomous completely. But I think one very important thing is also the costs, because right now the cost of manufacturing these vehicles is very, very high, which may not be affordable for a common man, for a common person. And as the AI revolution kicks in and the cost of the technology reduces, which includes the cost of chips, the cost of the R&D. Just to give you one stat, that in San Francisco, it's a study that the total cost, including R&D, comes out to be $184 per mile, which is expected to reduce to $3.50 by 2040. So there are cost concerns, there is adoption and culture concerns, but I mean, how quickly we can adopt, it's again something which is in the future. The only thing that what we can do is to work on the present, that we have the right regulations in place, we have the right legal system and framework in place, and then let the technology evolve itself.
Okay, I would like to just add, I would say, a small addition to what my colleague said. The adoption or this quick or short-term targets, actually it's possible, especially if you make it like a controlled area where there is no human factor. If it's a fully systemized system, like all vehicles movement, or like control system, and no human traffic is there, it is possible to reach that. And some of the cities actually going towards that, and many of the different transit modes actually working autonomously. We're speaking about the mass transit systems, not an individual. Okay, maybe I think the mass transit system has more likely and more possibility to success, not as an autonomous system, than individual movements.
It's a very valid point, I think, Mr. Faraj is trying to say. You have regular conventional driving vehicles, then you have the autonomous vehicles. Those both together is not going to give you the harmony, the synergy. And what he's trying to say, whenever it comes like, if we can have one place with only AV, the guarantee of no error and no accident is much higher. Hassan, you want to say something?
For me, I would say we are witnessing very rapid development of the technology, which makes it more possible to meet the deadlines. And as Mr. Gupta mentioned, the cost of developing such technologies is reducing rapidly. But I would say we need to look into the investment, the investment we are willing to put to leverage our infrastructure, also to spread the awareness, because again, it's a behavior change to move from conventional transportation means to AVs. So it's more about the investment from the entire ecosystem, not only the government, not the public sector, but even the private sector as well, to do more experiments, to advance the deep learning or machine learning algorithms.
Maybe just my two cents just to add. Also, I think what would accelerate the rapid adoption would be the need for autonomous vehicles. Now, why we see that in the Western countries it's becoming more prevalent is because there's a huge shortage of drivers, number one. Number two, the cost of having a driver is significantly higher when it comes as compared to the total TCO. So it's about 30 to 40% cost is basically the driver cost, and balance is the vehicle maintenance, so on and so forth. So in those countries, it's also developing more rapidly because the need is there. However, in our region, the need is still not evolving that quickly as we see in those countries, and hence, given all the other factors, I think the need to have, with the legitimate reason to have, I think this will also push the adoption faster.
Very valid point. Valid point. Some more questions?
Thank you. I have one more question. How can we design a smart, sustainable city that supports people of determination and contributes building autonomous society and inclusive solutions?
See, the question of I would say adopting people with special needs in small cities, or even I would say, well, since we're speaking here about transport systems or autonomous vehicles, I would say small cities can be more adopting or more friendly with people with special needs because of the technology, because they will be able to think a person when they will be approaching, like for example, in a vehicle's point of view, okay, the doors can open automatically, it can be guided, and like when it can guide the person themselves where to sit, how to sit. They don't have to drive even. We can trust the system that person can travel from point A to B without the needing of a guardian for that person. So the infrastructure, the advancement, and whether I'm not just speaking about the city, I'm speaking here exactly about the transit systems, okay, is going to be more in favor of the special needs, as they will need less people to take care of them, okay, because the system will be already made in place to support them.
And Mr. Farouk, let's not forget the ultimate goal of using technology in our lives as humans is to make our life easy, and definitely AVs will help people of determination to make their lives easy, to drop them from point A to point B in a very easy way, and make them less independent on guardians or drivers or whoever.
Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Qadir Ahmed, ITC Abu Dhabi. As you said, Iyad, I think this is a very important and complex subject, and I think all the panels have articulated it very well. What we are doing here in the UAE are the correct approach: testing, validation, evaluation, and getting all the necessary foundations ready from a regulation point of view. And we are looking at all the international practices that has been done. In the UK for now, they've put the onuses on the operator and the owner, not the car manufacturer, not the programmer. In the US is different, other cities is different. But I think we are doing the right thing. In Ajman, in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, we've started the trial since November 2021. And by now we have more than 30,000 registered users using our autonomous vehicle taxis in Saadiyat and Yas Island in mixed traffic situation. However, due to the lack of regulations, we still have the safety driver on board. It's a level 4 with 90% of the time hands off. Where we are struggling with is at intersections because of that lack of technology issues, CCTV, LiDAR. So we are doing that. We are testing, evaluating. We need to go one step further as well, is evaluate the reactions of the 99.9% of normal traffic, how they are dealing with an autonomous vehicle. Yes. And it's a bit of novelty at the moment. It will take between 5 to 10 years to iron all of these issues out. My question is, are we also need to invest or encourage the system integrators and the manufacturers to really enhance the advanced driver safety systems that's already available now in high-end cars, the collision avoidance, the lane. So don't we need to encourage that at a bigger scale until we transition to full autonomous? Thank you again.
Hassan, you want to take this?
Thank you. I have already seen a lot of people who are using vehicles with level 1 and level 2, and they are annoyed being using the collision avoidance system and lane departure, those assessed systems in the vehicles. But I totally agree with you. We need to encourage people to get used and familiarize themselves with such systems and technologies to be able later on to adopt the AV, let's say level 4, because we understand it's a behavior change, and again, in parallel, till we reach the ultimate goal of developing a very safe level 4 or AVs, we need to get ourselves familiarized with the whatever technology we have for level 1 and level 2.
Mr. Farouk, any comment?
Oh, first of all, thank you, Mr. Abdul Qadir, for your insight. And I have actually had the privilege of testing one of the autonomous taxis in Al Saadiyat, and I exactly also have noticed I would say the issue in intersections. Maybe one of the solutions for that will be is the next level when we speak about V2I communication that will help reducing that, I would say, that issue. And speaking about the standardization of different manufacturers and of vehicles, as I've noticed, is like there is a part of it where we are sometimes complain about being a human, the inconvenience of car acting on itself, and we want to be in control. But also when we think about it on a bigger picture, the amount of the effect of that in saving lives, saving resources, saving assets, it's huge. And this has to become one of the new things that we need to get adapt to. The new generations get to adapt to it, okay? And from my point of view, the standards of vehicles should be elevated, like L1, L2 should be compulsory, like in new vehicles, to enhance exactly human life, okay, traffic and assets, all of them, because they affect in very, I would say, huge manner to these things. Okay, so I totally believe that this levels, the manufacturers with the standard vehicles, even though it's coming from a person who's still driving a manual car. But I really believe this, all this technology, especially L1 and L2, should be adapted to all new vehicles in the market still.
Any defense from the deaf?
No, I think the colleagues here have aptly articulated it that yes, this is a requirement. It not only helps us in preventing accidents, vehicles, it also aids to vehicle safety, less damage to vehicles, because you have these active parking assist systems where if you are reversing the car and there's a pole, the car will stop itself and there's no way you can move. So, I mean, these systems are very good. And I mean, just to give you some pointers on this, that the ADAS technology and autonomous vehicle technologies, they were always being developed in parallel and they are interchangeable. And what I feel is that as the new drivers are coming in who would be taking their driving license as they turn 18 in the coming years, for them getting comfortable with these technologies where the car is intervening with your actions will be much easier to adapt, because that would be a normal for them. But when I learned driving, I was back home in India, I was 13 years old, and it was a 1980s car which used to have a hand gear, 62 brake horsepower. So, but when my children will start to drive, I'm sure all these features will be standard, and that's what they will grow up with. So then they will understand that this is what it is. And as the colleague rightly said, that this will also help to transition towards autonomous vehicles, which is the end goal for us.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Just an ending statement, Mr. Abdul Qadir. Before AV, there is SAV, Safety Autonomous Vehicle, like the adaptive cruise control and self parking stop. So this is an AV already, but only for safety. By the end, on your behalf, I thank the panel, Mr. Arun, Mr. Farouk, Mr. Al Hassan for their valuable contribution and for a nice and interacting audience. Thank you very much.